Peace, peace. This is Just Be Real. Coming to you live once again. In today's video, today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the phallus worship in the Bible. I'm going to reveal some things to you that's to set your ass on fire, make you pissed off, like, man, what have I been reading all this time? A bunch of bullshit. A bunch of garbage. You niggas don't know what the Bible's talking about. So, you gotta have a real nigga like me come over here and break it down to you and let you know what it's actually saying. There's nothing spiritual, nothing metaphorical about it. It's straight literal. Okay? Check this out.
Roger. Here you go.
How about the one on your ankle?
A back pocket too? You got one problem though, Jake. You got no witnesses. Who you fucking witnessing, huh? Roger? Smiley? You think my troops are gonna help you? It's not what you know. It's what you can prove. It's not what you know. It's what you can prove. It's not what you know. It's what you can prove.
So, what can I prove? Let's go. Let's get it. This is the book, The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets, Barbara G. Walker. Let's get it. Get my book is falling apart. Put tape and shit all over it. Let's go. Listen. Now watch this. Check this out. Phallus worship. As goddess-dominated religions made the yoni their holiest symbol, so God-dominated religions adored the phallus. So what is the goddess yoni? What is that? You go here. The yoni is talking about the woman's vagina. Okay? That's what that's talking about. Let's go back there because I want to burn up all my damn tape. I'm finna go in and y'all ass today. Alright, so listen to this. Patriarchal Semites worshiped their own genitals and swore binding oaths by placing a hand on each other's private parts, a habit still common among the Arabs. Words like testament, testify, and testimony still attest to the oaths sworn on the testicles. You see that? We're not done yet. In 1 second. We're going to break these verses down. I keep telling you niggas, you don't know what you're reading. You don't know the signs, the symbols, you don't know a goddamn thing. Okay. So it says that Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under the thigh of his master in Genesis 24:9. So let's go to Genesis 24:9. So you got Genesis 24. And now, so the servant made a solemn oath to his master Abraham regarding this matter. Okay, so let's keep on going. So it says, Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under the thigh of his master, because thigh was a common euphemism for penis, used in superstitious fear of mentioning the divine organ directly. So thigh was in opposition for the word penis. So the word penis is supposed to be that instead of the word thigh. Myths of male pseudo birth, like Zeus's father of Dionysus, made the offspring come forth from the father's thigh. Listen to this. But the meaning was penis, as in the Hindu myth that substituted the lingam for the yonic. The god Sukra, seed, came out of the stomach of the great god by the way of his penis. So lingam is another word for penis. 1 second. Give me 1 second. Yes, so the word lingam, here it is. Lingam, or lingam, penis, Hindu symbol of any god, usually Shiva. The lingam yoni is still the supreme symbol of the vital principle, representing male and female genitalia in conjunction. You see that? Now let's go back here to phallus worship. Let's keep on going. So it says here that another Middle Eastern euphemism for penis was knee. The word knee. K-N-E-E. Genu. So often mentioned that some people came to believe that the word knee was the source of seminal fluid. A father used to establish paternal rights to a child by setting the infant on his knee, which is why genuine of the knee came to mean legitimate. In Mesopotamia, the word virtue meant both knee and penis. In Latin, it became virtue, masculine spirit, virility, erectness. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. It goes in to say that the Bible calls Jacob's penis the sinew, their strength, lying upon the hollow of the thigh. Scholars have tried to interpret this limp penis as something else, a severed tendon or a certain thigh muscle, which Jews were forbidden to eat. Genesis 32 and 32. But medieval translators frankly recognized the phallic meaning of the sinew. They said the God-man blighting touch on Jacob's shrunken member was, quote, to cool the fires of the conspicuous. Biblical patriarchs worried indolently about the vulnerability of the penis and avoided direct mention of it lest evil spirits be drawn to it. Old Testament laws reveal a special fear of women's power over the penis. God's commandment was that a woman who grabbed a man's genitals must have her hand cut off, even if she does it to defend her husband against an enemy. Deuteronomy 25:11 and 12. Let's go back up into it says here that the Jews were forbidden to eat the penis. Genesis 32 and 32. Nothing spiritual, nothing divine. No, this is talking about sex. Matter of fact, let's go here to Deuteronomy 25:11 and 12. This in the law. 25:11 and 12. This is in the International Standard Version. Let's go to the King James Version, the one everybody likes to read. King James Version. It says here that when men strive together with one another, when men strive one with another, and the wife of the one draweth near for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secrets, then thou shalt have her hand, thy eye shall not pity her. Then thou shalt cut off her hand. This is in the King James Version. It says secrets. Secrets means private parts, penis. Let's go to the International Children's Bible Edition. Two men might be fighting, and one man's wife comes to save her husband from his attacker, and she grabs the attacker by his sex organs. You must cut off her hand, give no mercy. Let's go to another version. Let's go to the Geneva Bible, 1599 edition. It's in the law. When men strive together one with another, if the wife of the one come near, for to rid her husband out of the hands of him that smiteth him, and put forth her hand, and take him by his privities, then thou shalt cut off her hand. What do kids say in school? Oh, he kicked me in my private parts. He kicked me in my private. What is private? Penis. Penis. Let's go to another one. Let's go to the complete Jewish Bible. (25:11). If men are fighting with each other, and the wife of one comes up to help her husband, get away from the man attacking him by grabbing the attacker's private parts with her hand. You are to cut off her hand, show no pity. Let's go to another one. The complete English version. The contemporary English version. Same thing. Now, let's go here to First Samuel 18:27. 1 Samuel 18:27. Listen to what David did. It says that let's go into the Amplified Bible. 1 Samuel 18:27. David arose and went, he and his men, and killed 200 Philistine men, and David brought their foreskins as proof of death, and presented every one of them to the king, so that he might become the king's son-in-law. You see that? What is the foreskin? It says David arose and went and his men and killed 200 Philistine men and brought their foreskins. You want to see what foreskin is? This is what foreskin is. They went around and killed 200 Philistine men and went and grabbed their penis, right here, their penis. This is a sexual organ. Their penis, the foreskin, and cut it off. 200 men grabbing men by their dicks. Who's writing this stuff? It can't be black folks, because remember, black folks were in so-called slavery. So if black folks are not writing this stuff, who's writing it? And you niggas actually believe this shit? You a goddamn fool. Let's keep on going. We ain't done yet. Listen to this. Phallus worship often slid over the ill-defined line into homosexuality, which was inevitable among men taught to adore the phallic and principle in each other. Sometimes a homosexual kind of adoration was extended toward the superior male or towards God. Among gypsy men, the expression of ritual self-abasement was half-kokar. Translate into English is, I eat thy penis. It was explained that, quote, if one should, for example, petition God in prayer for a wish to be granted, he would proceed his request by saying, "Oh God, I eat thy penis." You see that? Are you hearing this? I'm not making this up. This is facts. This is facts. So how are you going to debunk this? How are you going to debunk this shit? You don't know what the Bible's talking about. You don't know who wrote it? None of that. Now, let's go here to show you that Peter did not like women. This is one of the books they took out the Bible, the Gospel of Mary. Now listen to this. It says, whatever his origin, let me see, give me 1 second. Matter of fact, listen to this. This is St. Peter, right? And you have the upside down cross of Peter. Listen to what the Vatican admits to. It says here that most earlier churches put forth scriptures claim to foundation by its apostles, even though the apostles themselves were no more than the mandatory zodiacal 12 attached to the figure of the sacred king. Earlier popes were often mere names drawn from titles of Roman gods. Such as Soter, falsely inserted into an artificial chronology to simulate successions from Peter. Listen to this, but even Catholic scholars now admit that the stories of Peter's upside-down crucifixion before Nero and burial in the Vatican Hill were fictitious, were fiction. So they said that this upside-down cross, they said that Peter was hung upside down, bullshit. They just admitted. They just admitted it. They said that the Catholic scholars now admit that the stories of Peter's upside-down crucifixion, this shit right here, was fake. It's fiction. Never happened. Bullshit. Now, let's go into Peter. Let's stay with Peter's ass. And let's show you that he didn't like women. And you niggas, you quote his ass. You be quoting this dude like you actually knew this dude. So it says here that, so you got the Gospel of Mary. One of the earlier Gnostic Gospels, once included with the books of the New Testament, but later eliminated from the canon. A copy was rediscovered in the 1940s at Nag Hammadi. So it says here that whatever his origin, Saint Peter stood for patriarchal opposition to the female principle, as shown by the Gnostic Gospels later censored out of canon. The dialogue of the Savior made the holy harlot Mary Magdalene the superior of all apostles. The Gospel of Mary said Christ loved her best and gave her a secret revelation that Peter tried to force out of her. In the Pistis Sophia, Mary remarked, quote, Peter makes me hesitate. I am afraid of him because he hates the female race. You see that? Are you hearing this? Medieval legends also suggested portraying anti-feminism. It was said Peter had a daughter, Petronilia, little she Peter, who was too beautiful in Peter's opinion, so he prayed God to strike her with a fatal illness, and God complied. The Golden Legend suggested that Peter tortured women to exorcise them, as he caused them to vomit up the devils that possessed them, along with much bloodshed. You see that? Did you hear what I read to you? And you still believe this damn Bible? You a fools. I've already explained where the Bible comes from. It's talking about sex, sexual reproduction. Let's read it again. Phallus worship. As goddess-dominated religions made their yoni their holiest symbol, so God-dominated religions adorned the phallus. So the goddess is the woman. The woman made her religious private symbol the vagina, the holiest symbol. The man came right back around and made this penis the holy symbol. Patriarchal Semites worshipped their own genitals and swore binding oaths by placing a hand on each other's private parts. We just read this here. Let's go to another translation. New American Standard Version. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 27. Let's go back here to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 25. (11 and 12). And let's go here to the International Standard Version, the New International Standard Version. If two men are fighting and the wife of one of them comes to rescue her husband from his assailant, and she reaches out and seizes him by his private parts. let's go to Deuteronomy 20. Let's go to the Hebrew Short Concordance. Deuteronomy 25. Deuteronomy 25 and 11. 11 and 12. And we want the definition. Who's writing these definitions? Who's writing definitions? By the genitive. Here's a Hebrew word right here. 14:16. Hebrew 14:16. The mabush, private parts, genitalia, mabush, private parts. It's what this is saying. You don't know what this is talking about. You don't know what the Bible's talking about. They're telling you clear as day what it is. They write it. They wrote the shit. They're telling you clear as day. So it says, let's read it again. Patriarchal Semites worshiped their own genitals and swore binding oaths by placing a hand on each other's private parts. A habit still common among the Arabs. Words like testament, testify, and testimony. So take off the prefix. You have suffix and prefix. Take off the prefix at the ending of the word, and you have testes. These are testicles, man's balls. Words like testaments, testify, and testimony still attest to the oath sworn on the testicles. Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under the thigh of his master. Genesis 24:9. Because thigh was a common euphemism for penis. What does the word euphemism mean? Euphemism, I believe, is a word for substitution. Euphemism. It says a mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one. To be harsh or blunt when referring to something unpleasant or embarrassing, meaning substitute. Euphemism is a word for substitution. So instead of putting the word penis correlating to Abraham placing his hand under the thigh of his master, the word thigh is supposed to be the word thigh. It's supposed to be the word penis there. So let's read this. So you got Genesis 24:9. Let's read what's really supposed to be there. So you need a real nigga like me to just be real with your ass and teach what's really going on, what you really reading. This talking about sexual reproduction. Sex. All right, let's go. Genesis chapter 24:9. Genesis chapter 24, verse 9. So the servant placed his hand under the not thigh but penis of his master Abraham and swore an oath to him concerning this matter. Now let's put this in context. Now what did we just learn? We just learned that whenever you swear an oath, you put your hands on the man's penis, on the testicles. So let's read this. So the servant put his hand under the penis of his master, or under the testicles, or under his balls. So the servant put his hand under his master's balls and swore an oath. Let's read it. Let's read it. Phallus worship, as goddess-dominated religions made the yoni their holiest symbol, so as the woman-dominated religions made the yoni or the vagina their holiest symbol, so God. So man-dominated religions adorn the phallus, the penis. Patriarchal or men, what does patriarchal mean? Let's look up these words. What do these words mean? You niggas don't want to learn. You think you know something, you don't know a goddamn thing. What does patriarchal mean? It's father-like, paternal, male, man, relating to or characteristic of a system of society or government controlled by men. Men. So the patriarchs are men. The matriarchs are women. You know the difference between man and woman? So it says here that let's put this in dummy terms. Let's dummy it down. Let's put this in layman's terms. Let's put this in kindergarten, third grader, fourth grader status. So it says here that so men-dominated religions adorn the phallus. Patriarchal, or we just heard what patriarchal mean. Patriarchal or men, Semites, worship their own genitals. What genital does a man have? The penis. And swore binding oaths by placing a hand on each other's private parts, a habit still common among the Arabs. What are the three main religions? Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Let's look it up. Three Abrahamic religions. Abraham. Three Abrahamic religions. What is it? What are the Abrahamic religions? Judaism is the oldest of the four Abrahamic religions. Christianity and Islam. They say that this practice is still practiced amongst the Arabs. Abraham is in the Quran. Is he not? Look it up. Abrahamic religions. The Abrahamic religions are one of the major divisions in comparative religions, along with Indian, Iranian, and East Asian religions. And you have Abrahamic religion spread globally through Christianity being adopted by the Roman Empire in the 4th century, and Islam by the Islamic empires from the 7th century. Now, let's go back here, and it says here that men, patriarchal Semites, or men, Semites, worship their own genitals and swore binding oaths by placing a hand on each other's private parts, a habit still common among the Arabs. And here are all the references right here at the bottom. All of them. Let's go on. It goes and say that words like testament, testify, and testimony still attest to the oaths sworn on the testicles. What is Abraham involved in? What is Abraham involved in? Right here in this particular passage. Genesis 24. And let's go to verse 8. If the woman is unwilling to come back with you, then you will be released from this oath of mine. What oath? Genesis 24, verse 7. The Lord, the God of heaven, who brought me out of my father's household and my native land. Where did Abraham come from? Mesopotamia. And who spoke to me and promised me an oath, saying, an oath. What do they do with oaths? If you swore an oath and you a man, what do you have to do? The Lord, the God of heaven, who brought me out of my father's house and my native land, who spoke to me and promised me on oath, saying, to your offspring I will give this land, and he will send his angel before you so that you can get a wife for my son there. If the woman is unwilling to come back with you, then you will be released from this oath of mine. Only do not take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the testicles, under the balls of his master Abraham. Abraham's servant put his hands on Abraham's balls and swore an oath to him concerning this matter. Let's read it again. Patriarchal. So you have the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? They were touching each other's balls. They were touching each other's balls, and the Israelites were eating penises. I'm not making this shit up. You see it for yourself. Patriarchal Semites worshiped their own genitals and swore binding oaths by placing a hand on each other's private parts. A habit still common among the Arabs. Words like testament, testify, and testimony still attest to the oath sworn on the testicles. Let me turn this down so you can hear this. I want you to hear this. Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under the thigh, under the balls, under the testicles of his master. Listen to this, because thigh was a common euphemism or common substitute for penis. So thigh was substituted for penis. So let's read it. Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under the penis, placing his hand under the penis of his master. Because thigh was a common euphemism or substitution for penis, used in superstitious fear of mentioning the divine organ directly. So they substituted penis for thigh. Euphemism. Synonym. Substitute. These words are one and the same. Substitute. Look these words up. It goes on to say that another Middle Eastern euphemism for penis was knee. So they substituted the word penis for knee. So often mentioned that some people came to believe that knee was the source of seminal fluids. So the word knee is supposed to be penis because out of the penis comes semen. Let's look it up. This is what you're supposed to be taught in science, in sexual and health education. Your Bible is talking about sexual education, sex. Penis produces semen. So you have erection, ejaculation. Ejaculation is semen. Human penis. Let's look it up. The human penis is an external male organ that additionally serves as a urinal duct. Okay? And it says here that the penis gives out semen. You have the foreskin. It says David went around cutting off 200 Philistine foreskins. That's the penis. Excuse me. That's the penis. Right here. Here's the foreskin. Let's look it up. The foreskin. So he went around touching men's penises, and he's cutting them, and he cut off, and he cut the foreskin of 200 men, foreskins, and presented them to the king. I'm not making this shit up. We just read it. What else? The penis gives out semen. You don't know what this Bible is talking about. None of you. Let's keep on going. The Bible calls Jacob's penis the sinew, the strength, lying upon the hollow of the thigh. So the thigh is a substitution for penis. So Jacob's penis has shrunk. When a man's penis gets hard, and then when he ejaculates, it gets erect. It shrinks. It shrinks in size. This is shit you're supposed to know. It says scholars have tried to interpret this limp penis as something else. They substitute it, try to translate this shit and say, oh, it's a severed tendon or a certain thigh muscle, which Jews were forbidden to eat. But medieval translators frankly recognized the phallic meaning of the sinew. They said the God-man blighting touch on Jacob's shrunken member was to cool the fires of concupiscence. So it said the Jews were forbidden to eat the penis. Genesis 32 and 32. Look this shit up. Read it. So it says Jacob's penis, the meaning of sinew is the penis, Jacob's penis. Genesis 32 and 32. The sinew, or whatever this word they use. Don't the Jews put their mouth on the baby's penis when they circumcise them? Therefore, listen to this. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites did not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. What did this woman just say? She just said that the Bible scholars call Jacob's penis the sinew, the strength. Let's go into the King James Version. Let's go to the Geneva Bible, 1599. Therefore, listen to this. Look. Therefore, the children of Israel did not eat of the penis. Penis, not sinew. This is a euphemism. This is a substitution. Therefore, the children of Israel not eat not of the penis with strength in the hollow of the thigh until this day. Unto this day. Because he touched the penis, the strength in the hollow of Jacob's thigh. So you have the males. So look. So you have the thigh. What's connected to the thigh? The human body. Human. I gotta break it down to you. I gotta break it down for your ass. Images. I shouldn't have to do this. This is shit you learn in school. See have the skeleton, right? Let's blow this shit up. You have the skull, the oral cavity, right? The shoulder blade, all that shit, right? Okay. So you have here the pubis, right? The femur. Here's the femur bone. Okay, let's go back here. I don't want to confuse you. Okay. It's something about sex, man. You niggas don't know what this book is talking about. At all. So you need a nigga like me to come on and teach you. I'm trying to find a diagram. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. We gonna get it. This is sad, man. Your Bible is talking about the human body. This is talking about the human anatomy. So here, you have a man, right? You have a man here. This is sexual reproduction. And you have the leg, the thigh. What's connected to the thigh? The penis. The penis. So it says here that the Bible called Jacob's penis the sinew, the strength, lying upon the hollow of the thigh. Here's the hollow of the thigh. The hollow of the thigh, and the penis is right there. Scholars have tried to interpret this limp penis as something else, a severed tendon or a certain thigh muscle, which Jews were forbidden to eat. But medieval translators frankly recognized the phallic meaning of the penis. Biblical patriarchs. What does patriarch mean? Patriarchal? Biblical patriarchs, or biblical men, a system of society of government controlled by men. Biblical men worried inordinately. So what does inordinately mean? Let's look at these words. They worry inordinately. Inordinate. What are they worried about? Usually or disproportionately large, excessive. So let's look at these words. Excessive, unreasonable, unjustifiable, unconscionable, unwarranted, unnecessary. Let's substitute this word inordinate and let's put it in layman terms. So it says biblical men worried unnecessary about the vulnerability of the penis and avoided direct mention of it, lest evil spirits be drawn to it. Old Testament laws reveal a special fear of women's power over the penis. God's commandment was that a woman who grabs a man's genitals must have her hand cut off, even if she does it to defend her husband against an enemy. The word fascinate is a relic of men's belief in the magic of their own genitals. Latin fascinum, the Latin word fascinum, meant an erect penis, presumably fascinating to the opposite sex. Now I just broke this shit down to you. I just broke it down to you. You don't know who or what the Bible is talking about. None of you. None of this shit is spiritual. None of it. This shit is talking about sexual reproduction. Now, to show you how twisted God is, remember, God is not saying this stuff. It's men saying this. So to show you how twisted man is, God told man to breathe fruitful and multiply. So how does he tell them to be fruitful and multiply in one verse, and in the next verse, in the law, he tells the woman, you can't touch the man's private parts, and your hand is going to get cut off. Now, how are you going to explain this? Now, I'm still reading this woman's book. Look, I only paid a damn $1 for this book. The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Why aren't you taught about this? You think I'm lying? Let's look it up. Let's close out some of these windows. I just did sexual education. This shit you're supposed to learn in school. This is sexual education. Why aren't you learning this? So let's Barbara G. Walker. And you can get this book on Amazon. For a damn $1. This book I'm reading right now. I'm on the letter P. Where is it at? The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Right here. And you can get it used. Let's see. For $7. $7. For $7 damn. Now, why aren't you taught this? We just read here that Abraham swore an oath to God. Let's read it again. I got 5 minutes left. Phallus worship. As goddess or as women dominated religions made their yoni their holiest symbol. The yoni to the vagina. So men dominated religions adorned the phallus. The phallus is the penis. Patriarchal Semites. So patriarchal Semites, we know that patriarchal Semites are men. You got the patriarchs, right? And what does it say? Relating to characteristics of a patriarch, a father-like, protective, supporting, encouraging, relating or characteristics of a system of society or government controlled by men. What does it say? It says, men Semites, men governing, men a society of governmental men, Semitic men, worshiped their own genitals and swore binding oaths by placing a hand on each other's private parts, a habit still common among the Arabs. Genesis 24 and 9. Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him for this matter. Then the servant, so servant is a slave. Abraham had slaves. Then the slave put his hand under the thigh, under the penis, or under the balls of Abraham's master. Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under the thigh of his master, because thigh was a common euphemism or a substitution for penis. So Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under Abraham's penis. Used in superstitious fear of mentioning the divine organ directly. So they took this out on purpose because they didn't want you all to know that Abraham's slave was touching Abraham's dick and balls. I'm not making this shit up. I'm being blunt. What does servant mean? Abraham had a servant. What is a servant? A servant is another word for slave. Servant. A person who performs duties for others, especially a person employed in a house on domestic duties or as a personal attendant. Synonyms: attendant, retainer, domestic help, domestic worker, helper, cleaner, housemaid, flunky, lackey, such and such, such and such. Servant is another word for slave. Let's see. Let's go here to Genesis 24:9. So you got Genesis 24:9. And we're going to go here to Bible Hub. So the servant placed his hand under the thigh, under the penis of his master Abraham, and swore an oath. It says that when you swear an oath, you place your hand on each other's private parts, a habit still common among the Arabs. Words like testament, testify, and testimony still attest to the oath sworn on the testicles. Abraham's servant swore by placing his hand under the penis of his master, because thigh was a common euphemism or substitution for penis, used in superstitious fear of mentioning the divine organ directly. The biblical Jacob penis, the sinew or the sign or the sinew, that strength lying upon the hollow of the thigh. Scholars have tried to interpret this limp penis as something else, as they use it as a severed tendon or a certain thigh muscle, which Jews were forbidden to eat. Genesis 32:32. So let's go here to the Strong's Concordance, and we need to see what the word servant means. Servant means slave. Hebrew, slave. Abraham had slaves. Hebrew word 5650. Slave. The ibed. Slave. Abraham's slave swore by placing his hand under his penis. Slave. An oath. Slave. I'm looking it up. The abide. Slave. Bondage. Male servant. The Jews were forbidden to eat the penis, the dick. But medieval translators frankly recognized the phallic meaning of the penis, the sinew. Biblical patriarchs or biblical men worry inordinately about the vulnerability of the penis and avoided direct mention of it. Old Testament laws reveal a special fear of women's power over the penis. God's commandment was that a woman who grabs a male's genitals must have her hand cut off, even if she does it to defend her husband against an enemy. Deuteronomy 25:11-12. This is the phallic worship in the Bible exposed. The Jewish people were eating dicks, were eating penises. When you swear an oath, you put your hands on the man's testicles. This is rituals. This is a part of your Illuminati. I'm giving you the keys. I'm giving you the answers. With that being said, I say peace. This book is entitled the Woman's Encyclopedia of Messing Secrets. I'm still reading it. I'm on the letter P. Click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.